So what we are looking at is the ventral view of the brainstem, relatively small area. Dorsal view of the brainstem, the cerebellum was sitting here, it has been removed. Just like the cerebellum is sitting here, it has been removed to expose the brainstem. So cerebellum has been removed. What we see on the dorsal surface, and we can do both dorsal surface first. So you have two examples. In this brainstem is from up here, which will be the thalamus, up to here is my midbrain. From here to here is my pons between my two probes, and caudal to this from here to about here where my pyramidal decussation is my medulla. Okay, so that's medulla, pons, and midbrain will be up there. Midbrain on the dorsal surface is marked by these two big massive bundle of fibers. We call them the cerebral peduncle. So it's a little seen better here. I want to show you this. So this is one cerebral peduncle. There's the other cerebral peduncle. This is the space between the two. We call that the interpeduncular fossa, where the third cranial nerve comes out. What is this, you may say? What does that look like? Very good. Very close to cerebral aqueduct. What is this area right here? This substantia nigra. This is the only pigmented nucleus in the brain. So you can see the black pigment in a cross section. Perfect. And the red nucleus, you can't see it, but you can see this rounded nucleus here. If I was to put red dots on it, that will be my red nucleus. You can see the round. And then cerebral aqueduct, somebody said, and around the cerebral aqueduct will be my PAG is good, periaqueductal grave, which is involved in pain modulation. So those are the structures on the dorsal side of the midbrain. If I go on the ventral side of the midbrain, I see these four colliculi. Two superior ones, we call them the superior colliculus, part of the visual system reflexes. Two inferior ones, we call them the inferior colliculi. Together we call them corpora quadrigemina, four bumps. Trochlear nerves comes out of just below the inferior colliculus. We have we're going to learn this later, but we have a inferior brachium, superior brachium. Inferior brachium connects the inferior colliculus via inferior colliculus to this body, which is the medial geniculate body. It's one of the thalamic nuclei. Dr. Al-Shabrari will talk to you about it. Similarly, we have a superior colliculus with superior brachium connecting to the lateral geniculate body. So those are the features in the brainstem midbrain. In pons, you don't see too much. You have a lot of these transverse running fibers. Trigeminal nerve is here. Fourth nerve we already talked about. Basilar sulcus is here where the basilar artery sits. And then on the back side, if I turn it over, I see that rhomboid fossa, which is upper part of the rhomboid fossa is in pons. Lower part of the rhomboid fossa is in the medulla. That diamond-shaped floor of the fourth ventricle is rhomboid fossa. We see a big middle cerebellar peduncle. Was it only afferent or efferent to cerebellum? Afferent, only going in. Here's my superior cerebellar peduncle on this side, superior cerebellar peduncle on this side. That's mostly efferent. Dentato-ruberothalamic tract, and one fiber tract coming in, the ventral spinocerebellar tract. So that's my SCP. ICP is here. Everything else, which I didn't mention the name of, is going through or coming out from using ICP. Okay, so MCP has pontocerebellar fibers, afferent, pontocerebellar from pontine to cerebellum. Superior cerebellar peduncle has one efferent, dentate, ruberothalamic tract, and one coming in ventral spinocerebellar tract. All other remaining 7 or 8 tracts are using inferior cerebellar peduncle, which is somewhere here, but I can't point it to you. We said rhomboid fossa is important because it has a median sulcus. First of all, we don't worry too much about it, but an important landmark just lateral to it is my sulcus limitans. Very important because it's dividing my sensory and motor nuclei in the brainstem. Medial to sulcus limitans are all my motor nuclei, like facial nucleus, abducens nucleus, hypoglossal nucleus, All those are located medial to sulcus limitans. Lateral to sulcus limitans are my sensory nuclei, like cochlear for my 8th cranial nerve, vestibular for my 8th cranial nerve, spinal nucleus of 500, my trigeminal nerve. They are located lateral to sulcus limitans. So sulcus limitans, although you can't see it, one area we like to ask you about is this little bump right here in the middle, which is the facial colliculus. It's made up of abducens nucleus and fibers of 7 going over it. This little point where the rhomboid fossa closes is my obex, where the area posterima is. Obex is an important landmark. So there's my obex. Just in front of obex, right here is my hypoglossal and vagal trigon. Again, there are motor nuclei. Lateral to my obex is my gracile tubercle and cuneate tubercle. These are parts of medulla. These are part of the DCML pathway. We'll learn about those later. But that's the rhomboid fossa and some of the features we see, especially the nuclei, the ones I mentioned, facial colliculus, hypoglossal, and vagal trigon sort of together. Sulcus limitans is hard to ask. Gracile tubercle, cuneate tubercle, part of the DCML system. MCP, ICP, 4 colliculi. If you come here on the ventral side, we see the 2 pyramids. That's part of the corticospinal tract. Most fibers cross here at the pyramidal decussation. So that's the motor decussation. Right next to the pyramid on each side is my rounded olive-like structure. What do we call that? Mr. Olive. That's good. I like that. So there's my olive. Now, if we were to look at the cranial nerves, let's just briefly review all the 12 cranial nerves. Okay? So we just use half a brain. I can actually combine these two and make a full brain. Okay? Although they don't go together. But anyway, there's my cranial nerve number 1. You remember the formula I gave you? 1, 1, 2, 4, 4. So there's my olfactory attaching directly to my cerebral cortex. It's one of those few sensations which does not use the thalamic nuclei. There's my 1. Olfactory bulb, tract, nerve, really you can't see, but that's part of it. There's my number 2, optic nerve, chiasm tract. Then cranial nerve 3 I can't show you, but it's in the interpeduncular fossa. Remember? 4th is the nerve which comes on the dorsal side, just caudal to the inferior colliculus. Maybe there's the rootlets of 4th cranial nerve right there. There's my superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, corpora quadrigemina. There's my little bit of the stub of the 4th cranial nerve. If I turn this way, and let's see, between all of them, I should be able to point other cranial nerves. So we have done 1, 2, 3 is in the interpeduncular fossa. 4 I just showed you. 5 is this big nerve which attaches to the middle cerebellar peduncle. There's my 5, big nerve, massive. Then we have 6, they're very nice 6, 2 6s at the pontomedullary junction between pons and medulla. There's my 6, most medial. Then 7, I'm touching 7 here. There's my 8. I have to show you both 7 and 8 to tell you which one is 7, which one is 8. So 6, 7, 8. Then 9 starts somewhere here. Some of these fibers are 10, and some caudal most fibers are 11. And the 12th cranial nerves comes between my olive and my pyramids. So 12th will be somewhere here, these rootlets of the 12th cranial nerve. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 back on this pre-olivary sulcus, medial to the sulcus or to the olive. So those are my 12 cranial nerves in the brainstem. Okay? Red nucleus I showed you, substantia nigra I showed you, those are good. Okay, that's it. Good luck.